Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today at Inscape's Together Tuesday webinar. We're going to be diving into the Inscape Microsoft 365 service and help you with further adopting the reports that are available in Inscape Microsoft 365. We're very excited to have you with us today. And you are joined by our Inscape Client Success team. I'm Stacy Mancinelli, along with Abby, Bailey, and Melissa, who are supporting you on your Inscape journey. And then we also have from our Inscape operations team, Sam and Robin, who are part of our panel. So we're here to support you with everything Inscape. And we have our contact information here should you need assistance. We'll also provide it at the end of the webinar. And as a friendly reminder, we invite you to join our LinkedIn community called Let's Talk Inscape. And we post different tips every week, upcoming webinars, any Inscape related news. So we'd love for you to join us into the community, and we'll put this link into the chat to make it easier for you to join. And let's just talk a little bit first before we go into the demo about what the Inscape Microsoft 365 service is. And we're going to provide these slides after the webinar today. So the Inscape Microsoft 365 service is really going to give you a single pane of glass into your licensing information. You can view your costs, your license costs, all your different subscriptions, your unassigned licensing information, blocked users, inactive users, and that will help you pinpoint some areas of potential savings with regards to those licenses. You'll also get visibility into your team's environment, user activity, for your different teams and how they're using the different licenses that they have assigned to them. And then we also have different communications insights related to Outlook teams and devices. And at a glance, we're going to go through all of these during the demo today. These are the different reports available in the Inscape Microsoft 365 service. So you can set one or more than one up, and they can also be scheduled and sent to different team members if you'd like to have it sent over email, or you can go into the Inscape platform and view this information. So we have a user activity report, blocked users, inactive users, all of your license cost information, and then the different communications metrics information in here as well, which previously was Productivity Insights. So if you were using Productivity Insights in the past, this now has been moved into the Inscape Microsoft 365 service. So you can see the navigation on the left now has been enhanced. So you're no longer going to see Productivity Insights. This has now been moved under Communication Insights within the Microsoft 365 service. Also, if you were previously using Team Captain, this is also within the Microsoft 365 service. So we've done some consolidating of the navigation to make the experience better for you. And also, there's more exportable reports than were previously available. So if you go into Inscape, you'll notice on the left-hand side, this navigation is now updated. And this is where you can view your previous Productivity Insights and Team Captain information that you would have been signed up for previously. If you didn't use those services in the past, then you won't see that data automatically loaded. You would just set it up with the Microsoft 365 service setup. So speaking of the setup, I believe most of you on this call today are already set up for the Microsoft 365 service, but in case you are not or haven't been able to get to that ahead of the webinar, no problem. As a reminder, the URL to Inscape, if you don't have it bookmarked, is platform.inscape365.com. So when you log into the platform, a global administrator will need to click on the Microsoft 365 icon that you can see here on the screen, and then we'll need to consent to the permissions of that service, and then you'll gain access to this particular service, and you'll be able to set up and schedule any of the reports that you want to see. Now, once you set up this service, it will be available in the Inscape user access. And we're going to show you very shortly how to go and update your Inscape user access using the gear wheel in the top right corner of the screen. So let's dive into Inscape, and Melissa is going to take it over from here and share her screen and go into the Inscape dashboard, show you the user access, and then dive into the Microsoft 365 service. Melissa?
Excellent. Thank you, Stacy. Hopefully everybody is able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So the first thing I wanted to point out here today is just a reminder that Inscape has made it very easy for you to be able to manage your users and what access they have to the services within the platform. So as Stacy was aforementioning, the top right corner gear icon next to your name, if you navigate over to that, select that, and then select the option that says Manage Inscape Users Access. This is where you have complete control over who has access to Inscape, the services. You can remove individuals as well. As you can see, I can close up any of these, and if I wanted to see who specifically has access to my M365 service, I can click on that pull-down menu, and I can see all of my colleagues who have access. If I need to remove somebody, you can click the black X and that will remove them. If you need to add somebody, if you navigate to the Add Role button here, you'd put in their information. So I would, type in whatever their email address is for Office 365. And then if they were not already signed up, I would check off M365 here, hit Save, and then quite simply that person would then have access to that particular service. Very easy, very simple. You can always come back in here and modify and edit as you see fit. Any questions, team, on that in the chat?
Not currently, Melissa.
Okay, great. So that's the user management aspect here. Again, once you sign up for the service, if you're not already, then you'll be able to see this in the Manage Inscape Users area to be able to allocate permissions to. So from here, we'll go over to our Microsoft 365 dashboard. This was designed with a really nice user interface, so you can see your metrics, whether they're cost related or teams related, boiled up in an easy to read manner. This is all geared to helping you with potential cost savings around your licensing, as well as giving you visibility into the hygiene of your team's environment, the security of your team's environment. Perhaps you have guests sitting in there and you don't want to have guests in there. So as you can see, we are signed up for all of the reports, and you can see all of the widgets displayed here, populated with data. Now, if I wanted to drill into any of the particular reports, you can click into the buttons here, and that will take you into the on-screen version of the report. Sam, I believe we wanted to start with the licensing cost report, because I know this has been a very popular report that has questions on it in terms of, hey, how do I up to my pricing? So we're going to start here.
Yeah, before you do, Melissa, while you're on the dashboard, I did want to point out the last three, the trends reports. Those are the newer reports that we just released. And I wanted to know from you, what do you see people using the device activity trends for?
Great question. In my launch calls or conversations, a lot of people are specifically leveraging that widget to help identify if they have a mobile device policy in place, Intune in place, to ensure that their Office 365 environment is secure if people are using things like, Teams in, remote capacities, whether it's like an iPad or, an iPhone or on the go.
Okay, awesome. And we do have a question in the chat here from somebody that their dashboard's only showing the activity trends. So they're wondering how they can get more widgets on their dashboard.
Absolutely. So that seems like maybe you're not signed up for any additional reports. And this has been designed, again, to make it easier for you to pick and choose what you want. So if you go into Inscape, if you're not already logged in, if you go to Settings, this is where you can come and select any additional reports that you want. And you can also deselect. So if you happen to find that you're not using any particular reports, you can select or unselect as you see fit. And then, of course, as our development team, adds more reports here, you'll be able to come in and select them as well. Hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa.
Absolutely. So back to the dashboard, any additional questions in terms of the widgets that we're seeing here from any of the community?
Yeah, so there's another one, and I know we're going to get to it. But we have a question about a report that tells us how much we spend on licenses that aren't assigned. So the cost of unassigned licenses, which we can see on that top right widget of those unassigned license costs.
Absolutely. So it's also worth noting here, Sam, that they're not only going to see licenses sourced directly with CDW, but they'll see any licenses that they have purchased, whether it's with CDW, direct with Microsoft, or with another vendor. So I just wanted to bring that forward to the community.
Awesome.
Also, when you initially log in and register for this report, what we would mention for best practices is coming in here and updating these costs, because what you'll see that gets loaded is going to be based on our catalog listing price. So to ensure that you're getting the most accurate reporting from here, what we recommend is coming in here and updating the prices accordingly based on what you're getting billed. So this way it's accurate, and also you're not seeing crazy amounts of quantity for things that Microsoft likes to stick on here, such as, free licenses for, Fabric or Power Automate for free. So Sam, I guess we'll start with updating the Microsoft Fabric one here.
Yeah.
And so, to edit, yep, go ahead.
No, so in order to update that pricing, especially this one, we see it listed as free. We have our pricing here at $0, but you're always able to add in that special pricing by hitting that plus sign and giving it a name, changing that term, and then updating that price. And then the last and probably most important step we commonly see forgotten is just moving that count down. And you always want to match what your total quantity is, which is on that top left corner. And so that our total matches. So since we're adding then that number to the bottom custom column that we added, we just have to zero out that first one that we have quantities in. And once we save, it will be updated again. This was a free one, so we already had it zeroed out, but it reflects very immediately on the report.
There we go. And if you go to the dashboard, if we had any cost that was showing up here, and this is our demo account, it would be immediately reflected here on the widget or the dashboard itself. So Sam, question for you: if they had, discounts or wanted to change the terms, this gear icon here is simply where they would go. They can update the term, update the price, and this would reflect instantaneously.
Correct. So it's always best to check to see, what you're actually paying and that term for it. And say you have 10 licenses total for this. Let's go Exchange Online, for example. You're able to even split up that license. So this one, actually, we have quantity 3. But if I'm paying 2 on an annual and 1 on a monthly, as long as that total count equals 3, I can split up how much I'm truly paying for that license to have the best accurate reporting.
Excellent. Any additional questions coming in yet on that?
We do have a question. Can I add and remove licenses from here?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, when you say add or remove, is it like on a procurement side, you want to increase your procurement of a license or remove the procurement of a license, or you simply don't want to see Microsoft Fabric 1 million licenses and you want to remove that from your view?
Increase or decrease was the answer.
Okay, so this is not a procurement model. So if you need to change the quantity that you've procured, you would need to go to, the provider of the license and change that procured quantity. And since this is not tied specifically to procurement of licenses from CDW, As we stated, these can be representing multiple sources of procurement. You'd have to go back to that procurement owner, right? Whoever is reselling that license. So whether it be Microsoft directly, CDW, or Sirius, or another partner.
Any other questions, Sam?
Yes, I do see one other of somebody not seeing any licenses listed, and how that would be is it's possibly it is connected to the tenant. So depending on which tenant you have added into the service, and you can add more than one, you may not be seeing those licensing, or you haven't signed up for the reports yet, which we showed in the settings, which we will be going back to as well.
Yes, and two other quick little things while we're still in here, Sam, was currently what you're seeing on screen are licenses that are per user. But if you wanted to see quote unquote licenses that can be assigned as kind of buckets, if you will, this applies to filter will allow you to filter to the company view and will allow you to see things like your extra file storage. So I wanted to bring that up because that's kind of a nice new feature that was recently added here in case people have licenses such as the file storage and they want to see, you know, where it's applied to and what the monthly price is and make their adjustments there. Additionally, the licensing reports can be exported. So you'll notice the export button here will allow me to export it. And they can also be scheduled. So specifically, it's the licensing costs at this time can be scheduled out. So you can pick an interval and we'll get to that. And they can also be exported. And the Teams reports that you see here can be downloaded and exported. Now, in addition to the unassigned licenses, we have blocked users. So this is another great report, and I apologize for the lack of data here in our demo account, but this again will give you headlights into conceivably where you can save additional monthly spend. Maybe you have a blocked user that's no longer with your organization and they're still assigned business premium in E3 and E5. This will bring this forward to you so you can ascertain, hey, we can remove the licensing and save on that spend. Any questions, comments, or concerns on that?
Not yet.
We then have our inactive user report. So here you can currently see the user's last activity in Exchange Online, Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint, and also what licenses are assigned to that individual. You'll notice that we also have search capability here by display name, first name, last name, or even by license type. So again, all geared to helping with the saving of money. It will also show you who's been inactive for more than 30 days based on the predefined criteria. Users activity. So here again, you can get a sense of what the user's activity is, again, by their last usage date for things like their Exchange Online, Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint. A nice column that I wanted to bring forward to you in terms of kind of quote unquote customizing this is the filter here called display by columns. Here, if you're looking for particular information to show up, like I know this question has come up with another customer, they were looking to see by company, by department, by office. You can select these options from the display columns area here and add these in to help identify, you know, the company or the department for your chargeback or internal billing reasons. Any questions, concerns on that team? Okay, so from here, we'll go down to the communications insights. And as Stacy mentioned at the beginning of today's webinar, this is now consolidated former team captains reports as well as productivity insights reports. So here's where you can come in and you can take a look at your teams reports. So you can see your public or private teams, when they were created, archive date, their number of owners, if they have guests, which is always great to look at for security and governance purposes. If they're orphaned, meaning that they don't have an owner or a licensed owner, again, great to look at. You can change the date range. You can look at the privacy settings. You can filter whether it's orphaned or not orphaned, or if they have guests. And then you have two options for this report. You can export the members here at the top. or you can export the report as well. So that's kind of a cool component of this particular report. Teams activity. So here again, you can see the last activity of a particular date. If that hasn't been used in a long time, maybe it's a good time to, archive it and clean up your environment. So here you can see if there's any, external users, shared channels, shared channel messages, meetings organized. You can search by team name. Again, all to give you that additional insight into your team's environment, the hygiene of that environment, the security, the governance, and things like that. Teams by department. So again, you can come in here and, take a look at a particular department that you may have set up and see what teams are associated with it, if they have any inactive members. Here I can click the little caret and that will tell me who the inactive members are, if there's active members, who they are, as well as what the teams are for that. Teams engagement by user. So again, here you can see how many teams Sam owns, and how many chat messages, private chat messages. I can click on here and that will open up and provide me with a little more insights as to, the owned teams, the departments associated with it. You'll also notice the filters at the top. So I can, filter by department, own teams, call count, meetings organized, meetings attended. So if I wanted to see how many, you add those columns in here, I can very easily do that. So if you're curious, team, as to what, how many meetings have been attended or organized, you can add that in here as well, which is a newer feature. I'm going to pause here for a second. Sam and team, any questions on any of this that we've covered so far?
I'm not seeing anything new. Is there anything that I'm missing, team? We do have a hand raised, so maybe then somebody is typing. And while we wait for that, I do want to point out that all of the communication insights reports can also be exported, and specifically with the teams by department, you're able to have options for an exporting of either by members or by the team. And we can see that on the top. And then we did get a question in for what does the dash imply on some of these reports? And I'm trying to recall maybe which report specifically was showing that.
The user's activity and the inactive user report, I believe, under the usage date.
I'm gonna, Robin, do you have any insights onto the meaning behind the dash?
The dash just means there's no like those users don't have a Teams license.
Okay, so there's no information to report since there's just not.
Yeah, I think that's it. This is our demo account. So some of the licensing that you see here isn't like real licensing. So I will verify that, just because it's the demo environment, that's why we see some dashes there.
We got the Teams activity trends. So this will give you daily insights on your team usage, such as chats, calls, on-screen meetings, things like that. So this again was part of productivity insights. You can change the display values. So you'll notice a couple of new options here, audio duration and video duration. So these are two new options that you can select from and add that, and shared screen duration as well. And you can see what your video duration is in Teams, and things like that. Your audio duration, again, you have the ability to drill into a particular department, or if you want to look at this, in more granular view, the UPN option will again allow you to select a particular individual and see the metrics and productivity of that individual, maybe help to identify training opportunities around teams and more collaboration efforts as well. And then, of course, down below, the graphic up at the top here is, again, where you'll see all of your users and their UPNs, the number of chat messages, private chat messages. Currently, it's set to UPN, but if I wanted to select department or date, I can absolutely toggle between any of those options here. And then, of course, you do have the option to export this information as well. So we got email activity trends. So again, you can track the number of sent emails, the number of read emails, received emails. You could change the date range so you can go back in time. You can change the look and feel of this. If it's easier on the eyes to take a look at this as a line chart versus a bar chart, you can absolutely do so for aesthetic reasons. And then you do have the option to see this more holistically in terms of looking at it as a department versus looking at it in terms of an individual. And there's where you can, again, take a look at that sent count, received, read, and be able to export it or, again, change how this is filtered depending upon how you imagine, using this internally. So a lot of great insights here to, again, help see how productive folks are being, maybe, again, helping identifying training opportunities around teams, things like that. Now, the device activity trends was something that I always like to bring forward because we're always very security conscious here in today's world and in CDW, and want to make sure, hey, we're noticing our team is using, Teams a lot or Office a lot, on our mobile devices. This may be a great thing to take a look at. In terms of making sure, again, you have a mobile device policy in place, or you're using such, tools as Microsoft's, Intune, to help with the security of your, Office 365 environment. So here you can see, whether it's WebEx, Windows Phone, iOS, etc. You can change the date range. You can change this to a line chart if you prefer a line chart. And then again, filter into a particular department or look at this in terms of an individual. And then again, be able to pull this information straight out of Inscape for whatever your internal needs may be. So let me pause here for just a couple of seconds. Sam, Robin, team, any hands up or questions at this time?
Yes, we do have one in for the audio, video, and screen sharing. Is the duration going to be measured in seconds or minutes? And if we can go back and take a look at that. It may be something I have to go and double check with the team because I'm not truly sure unless Robin, you know that one off the top of your head.
I do not, but we can look into that. That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Great question.
It should be called out.
Any additional questions on that? That was a really great question.
And then another one we'll just kind of note down. We see somebody is reporting they don't have access to this section. So that's where in the beginning of this call, we went through the settings, and whoever is listed as an Inscape administrator will have to then add you as well as maybe other users to have access to the reports. So more so in the gear icon I'm referring to, Melissa, in order to see the reports.
Correct. So that specifically would be the gear icon and then under the Microsoft 365 admin section as well. Now, I know we talked about device activity. Now we have a nice time-saving, convenient feature for the licensing cost reports. This is the scheduling feature. And this is really a great tool to help save you some time. Perhaps you have known scheduled meetings This is a great thing to leverage to get those reports out to the appropriate lines of business, departments, people, individuals that may need these reports ahead of the meeting without having to come back here. Very easy to set up. So what you're looking at on screen now is what we've created here. You'll notice a couple of things on the ellipses. One, you can edit any report that you create. You can delete it. Or for any of these reports that you opt in for, you can send it in real time. So you don't have to wait for that scheduled frequency. So if you wanted to see something right now, if I select the send report now to function, I'd put in my email address, hit send, and then that report would be in my inbox instantaneously. So that's a nice component here. Now, if you want to build out your reports, you absolutely easily can do so. The add button here will open up a quick little workflow. And here you can give your report a name, and then you can select the report or reports that you want. And again, these are licensing-based reports at this time. I can select the order of the data. I can select whether it's ascending or descending. And then I could determine the frequency, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly. And then here is where I can add additional users to receive these scheduled reports, whether it's a shared distro list, whether it's another individual. You have the flexibility to schedule these out and have it sent to whoever needs them. Any questions on the scheduling aspect here, team? So if that isn't any questions, in addition to being able to schedule out the licensing cost reports, the export section that you see here is ultimately where you would go and be able to download any of the reports that you would like to download from Inscape. So you'll see all the way to the far right, there's a section here called Actions. And if you click the little downward arrow, that will kick off the download so that you can open up the CSV and be able to view that data, manipulate the data, share the data as you see fit. Very easy to do. And then the last section that we have here is the settings. And again, this is where ultimately you can come in or opt out to any of the available reports in the Microsoft 365 service within Inscape. If you're curious to see what some of these things again may look like ahead of them being scheduled, we do have the example area here that will, show you what that will look like in case you want to see that, prior to signing up. But what we recommend for best practices is to sign up for them all because it's really not going to hurt anything. And then you can, really get the full breadth of what this service can do in terms of cost savings, potentiality, and cleaning up your team's environment and helping with the security for your team's environment. Any questions, team? Anything else you need me to dive into, Sam? I know there's a lot of information here.
No, it looks like the team's responding to some of those questions we got in the chat. I did want to say again, if you have not signed up for this service, when you first log in and you see Microsoft 365, you won't have that everything within this. It's just going to show you the settings, and then that's where you will select to enable those reports. And then once you do that and you enroll, then we can go to the gear icon to manage the users and add users to the service for Microsoft 365.
Sure. And to dovetail, Sam, onto what you just said, for anybody that's brand new and hasn't signed up for this just yet, after you select the reports and consent for the data to be pulled in, typically it's between 24 to 48 hours, in which time you'll see your data fully propagated here.
Wonderful. So,
any other questions?
No, not that I'm seeing. And I think we can go back to the PowerPoint because I know we had some additional slides to review with Stacy.
Yes, I'm just seeing one more chat come through. So I just want to make sure we answer all the questions before I go back to the slides. So any reporting for Microsoft Teams, one-to-one chats or group chats, looking for use and members of group chats. So Melissa, if you go into the Teams, back to the Teams reports. And they're looking for chat statistics. I believe that would be in the Teams activity trends.
Yep. So here you can see the display values here. So team chat, private chat. These are all of the display values that they can receive or view via this report.
All right. So like private chats are one-on-one. Team chats are going to be should be the group chats. There's no email notification when the data is first loaded. Sean asked that question. Then after the first initial load, when you log in and you're looking in Inscape, it will refresh at the top like last updated. So in this demo account, right, we have the team's activity trends last updated on April 20th. And that is based on, we want to capture like the full day's worth of usage, and reporting. Inscape does check several times throughout the day for data availability from Microsoft. And so it's several different data points. So we're showing the date of, when all the different data points for the reports that you've selected, when it was finally like the full day is available. So while we may have some data from yesterday on the 21st, it's not a complete representation. And later today, we'll probably get the full numbers from yesterday. So when you look at this, later today, it could show tomorrow, yesterday now will be full.
And one other little tidbit I also wanted to share with you, if we jump back into the licensing cost reports, once you update the licensing report here, it will pull through to the other licensing cost reports, so you don't have to do it multiple times. So I just wanted to bring that forward for anybody that at this point has not updated their costs. So once you do it here, it will pull through to the other licensing reports. Stacy, Sam, any additional hands up, questions, concerns at this time?
Yes, I see. Just looking here. Teams engagement by user shows no chat count. I believe that's not a question, maybe informing us that they're not seeing any data. So we'll have to follow up and take a look at that. Not sure which report that was, the team engagement by user. I think is that going back to the user activity or that one? Yep, you got it.
Right there, yep.
So we can follow up with you on that to see, like, I'm not sure if it's the entire table that's showing no data or just one of the particular columns. I think you're referring to the chat, so maybe column 3. Just the chat column. Yeah. So if that's blank, then there would be I don't believe there would be any data to show if there's no particular chat messages. And then another question, are there any reports for user on a voice over IP call using Microsoft Teams, meaning they are dialing out using their assigned ID phone number, or they received a call from an outside line? Are we able to track how long the call was, and from caller ID. I believe the answer to that is no. Yeah. And if you're seeing any data, I see some more chats coming in that don't look right. We can follow up with you afterwards to take a look and screen share with you to see what's not looking right on your end. And we can always go back to our development team and verify it for you.
Outside of those questions, Stacy, anything else that we could perhaps answer while we're all together?
I'm not seeing any of the new ones that we haven't addressed already. And I know we just have a couple minutes left on this call today, but we will definitely follow up with you. If you did message us in the chat and there may be some more clarification needed, or that it's an open item, we will circle back with you today. And let me just take over the screen, Melissa. I'll go back to the slides. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes. If you could just hit the present button for us.
Thank you. Yep. Might take a second to enlarge there. Okay, yes. Perfect. So we have another webinar coming up next month, May 6th. That's going to do, this will be our second Inscape training service deep dive session. We're going to have these every other month to help you with the further adoption of the training service. So if you need further assistance, maybe you've already set up that service and haven't started using the training paths for your teams, or maybe customizing it with your own content. There's a lot of different features and functions within the training platform. So we're going to go into that in more depth to help you further. Or if you haven't set up that service yet, you're welcome to. And then you could join the webinar and then we can help walk you through how to get started. And then we will have another Together Tuesday session the end of June. Topic will be announced soon, but we always welcome feedback from our community. So if there's any topics that you'd like to see at a future webinar, please share that with any of us on the team, and we'll do our best to make that available in a future webinar. And our contact information, again, is here for you. And we also do have a group mailbox, inscape.signup@cdw.com, or you can email us individually if you need assistance with using Inscape. We greatly appreciate you joining us today, and we look forward to helping you on your Inscape journey. And again, we'll follow up with those who did message us in chat that needs further assistance. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.